One area in which most of us Christians struggle in is prayer. And I think it is one area that everyone feels inadequate. Very few people really feel that they're praying the way they ought to. And we shouldn't panic, because I take encouragement from the Bible. Remember Jesus and the disciples? These disciples were Jewish young men, and they had grown up probably in synagogues being taught how to pray. But one day they looked at Jesus, and from what they saw, they realized that the kind of prayer they grew up with, how they used to pray before they met Jesus, and when they have now seen this Son of God with them, they really saw the difference. And one day they just said, "Master, teacher, please teach us how to pray." That is where we should all begin. We should ask the Lord Jesus Christ to teach us how to pray. That's one of my prayers every day, actually. Lord, teach me how to pray, what to pray for, and how to pray. You can also make the same prayer. That can be one of the first things you ask God when you get on your knees and you want to pray. And we've also grown up like those Jewish young men. We've also grown up with some misconceptions of what prayer is. First and foremost, the simplest thing about prayer is that it's communicating with God. And the most important fact about prayer is that there is someone on the other side listening to you. If you call out sincerely from your heart, know that there's someone else on the other side who will listen to you. So it is for us to stop and create time for us to speak to our Father in heaven. And that's another thing about Jesus Christ. Before Jesus Christ, no one in the Bible or before his time actually referred to God as Father. But when these disciples asked Jesus to teach them how to pray, he told them, "This is how you should pray, our Father." That was revolutionary. That now it is not some angry God up in heaven, but it's a Father on the other side. That should encourage you to pray, so that when you're coming to God, before God, you know you're praying to a Father who understands, who gave birth to you spiritually. So don't panic. Just reach out to your Father. And when we are talking to your Father, you don't have to come with polished English. You don't have to come with some idea of this God who only speaks English and he is white and he's seated on a big throne up in heaven and he only understands King James English. No, just be yourself. Sometimes I used to struggle actually praying, and my prayers were very short because I used to copy how people were praying. And until I realized it doesn't have to be that way. Actually, when I get on my knees and I'm praying to God, everything becomes prayer. And I'm myself. I try to be myself respectfully before God. I know he's God still. He's my Father, but he's King and God as well. So I come respectfully before him, but I also want to be myself. So I don't become a different person. And some of the prayers I make are like, Lord, I didn't even feel like coming here to pray. And I'm tired, I feel sleepy. But Lord, help me to concentrate, fill me with your Spirit, help me to know how to pray. Those are the kind of prayers sometimes I have to make. They are not easy. When you think about the other way people pray, you may think this is not easy, but actually it is very, very easy. That anything that comes also into my mind, what other people call distraction, that I want to focus my mind, I want to pray about, big things. I found any distraction, anything that I think is a distraction actually is a prayer point. So that if I remember someone and I'm on my knees, I pray for that person. If I remember an idea, something, for example, how the day is going, I'll ask God, please help me to know how to end this day. I have these things planned up. I don't know how they'll come up, but I'm presenting them to you. So that is how I continue through those wanderings, what people call wanderings. I make them into prayer points. You can also do that. That's how my prayer life grew from a few minutes to over 1 hour around there. And I don't keep track. I normally just pour my heart out. By the time I'm rising from that floor, I know there's nothing I didn't mention to God that I wanted to. So you can also do the same. And then, like Jesus was saying, don't think that the power of your prayer is in the length. Don't think that I've prayed for too long, then that is where the power is. No. If I finish praying, if I've felt I've poured out my heart, and I don't need to be there any longer. And then there's another aspect of prayer that we neglect a lot. And that is listening. Remember, if it's communication, there are two sides. God is saying something and also I'm saying something. If I finish my saying, I should listen to God as well. Hear him out. And if I hear God, if I pause, I start learning how God speaks. And most of the time, something that has always to be true is that He never speaks something that will go against His word. So be encouraged. Begin where you are. Just say, even after this, if you want to start praying, say, Lord, I don't know even how to pray. Teach me how to pray. If Simon and Akina John would say the same thing, I think you also can do that same thing. And I'm not there yet. I'm still learning how to pray. One of my prayer mentors, somebody I would want to be like in prayer, is somebody called George Muller. Please, if you find his book called Answers to Prayer, or an audio recording or a documentary about him, watch it and read it. I think he got something that Jesus had. And some people say, what is the time of prayer? The time of prayer, and this I heard from someone, it makes sense. Daily, I should wake up and tune my instrument. You know, a musician doesn't tune the instrument after the concert. They tune it before. So the days ahead of me, I need to tune my spirit. And that is what I need from prayer. Ask God to fill me the Spirit, help me to walk in step with your Spirit throughout the day, and that should happen at the beginning of the day. I know there are people who pray at night, and if that works for you, please, and also some circumstances may not allow people to pray in the morning, please go ahead and do that as well, so long as you're praying. And there's the concept that Paul brought about that people struggle so with. When Paul said, pray without ceasing, I used to wonder, what does it mean? Does it mean that I remain on my knees every moment of the day? I don't fully understand it, but this is something I've learned this far. You know, if I finished praying in the morning, there's a specific time I've said, this is for prayer. I finished that one. But from that moment on until when I go to bed in the evening, I'll meet situations, I'll meet people. For example, I'm in town, I'm walking around. I can make people I see, somebody who's, for example, suffering, somebody who's dressed badly, somebody who looks distressed. An ambulance has passed by, and I normally joke about the ambulance. I say, God, please help that one to get healed. And if the time has come for them, may they be believers. So I can turn things I see, people I see during the day into prayer points. I don't have to speak them out loud. I can inwardly pray to God concerning those people. You can do the same. And that is how, in a way, we can pray without ceasing. And it's a mode I am on, prayer mode throughout the day. You can also do that the same. You can do the same thing as well. And then there's a place for corporate prayer when we gather together and pray together, and there's a fire in that. But the primary place where we should pray is in our closets. A caveat to my fellow Pentecostals. Please, when Jesus said, go into your room and close the door, he was asking us to make prayers private. Let's stop this. You're in the estate, and then you wake up at 4, you go to your church which is nearby, put on the microphones, and you're praying by yourself, and everyone in the neighborhood who is asleep or who don't want to listen to what you're saying are forced to wake up. That is not Christian. That is not Christ-like. Make prayer private, unless it's public, corporate prayer in a church. Thank you. See you next time.